And your coach, uh, Ray Longo, like, what is his background? I haven't really heard much about his backstory, like in interviews or anything like that, or like explanation as to where he, like, was he like a fighter? Was like, where did he get his experience from to become a trainer? Because I know
He
he's
was
like
more
striking
of
based.
yeah, striking based. He was more of a not so much of a fighter, but he had a Jeet Kune Do background. He was just a all out martial artist growing up. Um, he was big into. He was, I believe, he trained with Dan Inosanto, who was one of Bruce Lee's uh, like training partners. But he was more into like the Jeet Kune Do and like the martial arts. Then got into boxing, and really just has an eye for it. He trained a bunch himself. Never really competed, I don't think. But man, does he have an eye for the fight game? Um, Definitely skilled in his own right, but as far as coaching, preparing guys, and his corner in the corner, really what makes Ray what I think stands out more than anybody with Ray is that he doesn't train anybody that he doesn't like. If you're not um if you're not like there's guys that come into the gym that probably could be in the UFC, but Ray just doesn't like vibe with them, or doesn't, they're not like Ray's cup of tea. He's not really going to help him. It's like he only trains people that he really clicks with and that he has a vested interest in, no matter how good they are. And I think that translates in the fight when you're in the trenches and you're in the third, going into the third round or the fifth round of a title fight, and you need to be told the right thing. You see it all the time with a lot of these guys. I mean, there's guys that go to gyms that you could just tell they're not. They don't. They go there for a little while and they go here for a little while. And there's trainers that guys come into the gym. They train them for a little while. Then the new guy comes in. He's training this guy and that. It's like everybody from Ray is really like from the ground up, from like their first pro fight. Like Justin Montalvo, the kid that was just on the he was just on. I don't know if you were you were watching,
Yeah,
but
Mike Perry's brother,
Mike
or
Perry's
Mike
brother
Perry's brother. Yeah.
is like he that kid's been in the gym since he was a little fat 11-year-old. You know what I mean? And now Ray has seen that kid grow into an absolute savage, and those are the kind of people that Ray trains, and it's just a totally it's so much different than any other place. I do think there are places like this. I know Uriah Faber has got a bunch of guys like that where he's seen them come up from when they were getting in trouble, and then they turn their life around, and they're young and stupid, and they grow up, and those are the kind of people that you want in your corner, or that a coach would want to be in the corner, and that's Ray. That's where Ray is really. That's what I think separates his eye for the fight game. Uh, like even like with the Anderson Silva fight, punch a fucking hole in his chest. Like it's motivating. It's motivating. It's out. It's kind of like out there. Everyone latched onto it, but in the lead up to that whole fight, it was Anderson Silva move. He moves his head. He makes you look silly because you miss. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna punch a hole in his fucking chest. You know what I mean? And the way in that corner work, he knows what to say to certain fighters to get them motivated. He knows what not to say to keep them on the right track. I think him and Matt Serra have a perfect dynamic in the corner, a great coaching style. It's just they're very unique, and I think that that's the reason that it works. And when they've been there, Matt Serra's he's been in the title fights. He's been on the Ultimate Fighter. He's coached the Ultimate Fighter. He's won the Ultimate Fighter. He's won the title. He's been in the UFC as long as pretty much anybody. So, and Ray is the guy that's for a lot of his success has been there. And Matt Serra went from a guy who was just a jiu-jitsu guy to a guy that knocked people out in the UFC. He really wasn't as much of a striker at all. And Ray not only taught him striking, but convinced him to learn striking. That was back in a time when it was jiu-jitsu versus the world. Matt Serra, there was a time where he didn't have any interest, I think, in the stand-up game. And Ray kind of convinced him to work on his stand-up, and then you saw him towards the end of the career knocking people out. So when these guys tell you that you're ready, when these guys tell you that you belong in the UFC, you see a lot of these guys, these younger fighters, they would just want to be in the UFC so bad. And it's like you want to be with a gym. It depends what you want to do. Do you want to be in the UFC? Do you want to just get to the UFC and have a fight or two? Or do you want to get in the UFC when you're ready and have a successful career? Because if that's what you want to do, you want to go to a gym like Serra-Longo, and you don't want to say a word. You want to just work like this Justin the Kid, like a few other guys. They just work, and they don't beg to be in the UFC. They're not calling people asking to be in the UFC. They just work and work and work, and they know that when Ray Longo and Matt Serra think you're ready to be in the UFC, you'll be in the UFC because they want you there. So that's the real difference. It's the guys that come into the gym and they're like begging to be in the UFC. It's like, do you really think you're ready for the UFC? And if you do, there might be a little bit of a self-awareness problem, because if you're at Ray Longo's and Matt Serra's and you're begging to be in the UFC, you're probably not ready for it, because if you were ready, you'd be in there. Matt and Ray, they know who's ready, and you don't have to ask to be in the UFC. If you're fighting, you're winning, you get there, you're going to get your shot. You know what I mean? You're going to get your shot. They'll get you the fights in the regional promotions that will get you in front of Dana White. It's proven. It's proven. The guys that go to Serra-Longo and they just work, they train hard, and that are ready, they go into the UFC and they have a successful career. There aren't many guys from the team that have gotten into the UFC and really been like 1 or 2 and out. They usually have a pretty successful career.
You know how a lot of people like the relationship between Khabib and Javier because they show it on social media and stuff like that. You think about maybe sharing your relationship with Ray, like between you guys, because Khabib always jokes with Javier like, "Oh, you're fat, you need to lose weight," and stuff like that. Like, do you do similar stuff with Ray as well? Like, you could just because I think that's what people like, where they see like the back and forth between there and then the coach and stuff.
Yeah,
like in the gym and stuff.
We joke around. I don't know if we're I don't know if we're like the social media record everything type. You know what I mean? It's just I think Ray's a little different like that. I'm a little different like that. I'm not like a big broadcast guy. You know what I mean? I think that's another thing that kind of what goes on in our gym is like people don't really see too much of that. You know what I mean? I think the other thing is we don't want people to see too much of it. It's I think that it would maybe eventually. I think they should have done a reality show years ago. Really, what they need to record is when Matt and Ray are together, because that is just like a comedy show.